From the Voice of America studios in New York, I'm Aisha Tanzim, and you're watching Access Point. Hello and welcome. When Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif took office, he promised to revitalize the economy of Pakistan through structural changes. One of those changes is a push to privatize more than 60 companies. Is the strategy working? And how has the government performed so far? We'll try to find out from our guests. My first guest is Dr. Zubair Iqbal, a scholar at the Middle East Institute. He has 35 years of IMF experience under his belt. My second guest is Khurram Hussain. He's a business and economy journalist in Pakistan and this year's Pakistan Scholar at the Wilson Center. Both of them are joining us from our Washington studios. We also have with us the chairman of the Privatization Commission in Pakistan, Mr. Mohammad Zubair. He's joining us via telephone from Islamabad. Gentlemen, welcome to Access Point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Zubair Iqbal, starting with you, what do you think of the government's privatization policy? Do you think this will work to revitalize the economy of Pakistan?
Look, I mean, you have to look at it in the context of the overall economic strategy. The privatization was intended, on the one hand, to bring about better allocation of resources through market pricing of goods and services and reducing the subsidy which was going out of the budget to these non-performing activities. The second aspect was to fund the budget deficit over and in the short run. Now, these are two inconsistent objectives. Being the inconsistent objectives, it has created a problem. Neither of these two objectives are being achieved effectively right now, partly because privatization takes much longer to implement. It takes a lot of work, as well as the results usually come over time and not immediately. At the same time, you have a problem that in the short term, you want to mobilize resources by selling off these assets. The question then is, if you sell these assets, you actually create a problem where the need for stabilization and adjustment declines temporarily, and that then causes more serious problems down the road. Now, the Pakistan government at this moment is trapped into this particular dilemma. They don't know what to do, so they have been trying to do both, but not succeeding effectively in either.
Mr. Mohammad Zubair, you heard Dr. Zubair Iqbal. The Pakistan government doesn't know what to do. Do you know what to do?
Yeah, we are very clear on what to do. I mean, starting with Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's first tenure as early as 1990, his commitment towards privatization was very clear. This was the first time when Pakistan embarked on a program of privatization. The process continued in the second tenure. And then when we were preparing the manifesto, the program economic plan for the last year's election, this was one of the game changers that we had identified. One of the four game changers that we believe is a way forward for Pakistan, and the structural changes that you mentioned in the beginning. And we believe that unless we take this very difficult step to privatize the state enterprises, which are bleeding heavily and consuming at least 25% of the total federal income tax revenue. So this is unsustainable. The current situation is unsustainable. In addition,
so Mr. Mohammad Zubair, we'll come to that, and we'll talk to you in more detail about which companies you're privatizing and whether the government can sustain it. But starting at the very beginning, if it's such a huge priority of the government, don't you think the government is right now in a crisis of confidence? You don't have the approval from the Council of Common Interest. The government said it had approval. The provinces said, we never approved anything. What would you say to that?
I think, in fact, there's a meeting of the Council of Common Interest that is taking place on Monday. And we are taking, in fact, one of the entities which was not earlier approved. All other entities have been approved at various stages. It's like a law which, for example, the Congress passes, and when the new Congress comes, it does not need to then again pass that. So in 1997, there was a Council of Common Interest that approved. In 2006, again it approved. In 2011, it again approved because before that, the power sector had not been identified as as a sector which should be privatized. But when the turn came in 2011, the previous government, the Pakistan People's Party, took it to Council of Common Interest and approved it. There was one entity which was already sort of leased out to someone. The Supreme Court turned the decision, and it came back to the federal government. We want to privatize that, and therefore we are taking it to the Council of Common Interest. So as far as we are concerned, we've taken the legal position, and the legal position is there is no need for taking yet again the approval of the Council of Common Interest.
Okay, Mr. Zubair, the PMLN leader of the House and Senate said that some of the approval will be done by February 10th. How does that impact the sale of PIA that's the first on your list?
In the first board meeting, was held in early January, and we had taken 8 state enterprises, including Pakistan International Airlines, to be privatized. And the board had given us the approval. Now the process in terms of the other activities has begun for those 8 entities, including PIA. I don't know what February 10th date you're talking about. February 10th probably is referred to another board meeting that is going to take place, but PIA is already approved, and we expect to complete the transaction for the privatization of PIA by December this year.
Mr. Khurram Hussain, how are economists in Pakistan looking at this process, and what is your analysis? How is it being viewed?
I think there's a lot of concern. On the one hand, nobody disagrees with the fact that privatization is the way forward. But I think as my colleague Dr. Zubair here said, it's not the path of privatization that's being questioned, but it's the manner, it's in how you approach it. And generally, I think with the 20-year-long experience of privatization now behind us, most people are very comfortable saying that privatization should not be viewed as a way to raise revenues for the government. It should not be viewed as any kind of a way to raise resources for current consumption, whether it's revenues to pay for fiscal deficits or to raise reserves, which is how the Musharraf government was pursuing it. Number two, that haste is usually not a good thing where privatization is concerned. There are big risks involved, and handing over entities to the wrong parties, handing them over in the wrong, or placing them in the wrong environment can also backfire on you. And there are numerous examples to quote from. But having said that, I think given the fact that this is a path that is carries enormous risks on either side, the commitment of the Nawaz Sharif government to actually carry it through is not in question. That's, to give credit where credit is due. In the past 2 times that this leadership has held the government in Pakistan, they have pursued the path of privatization very stridently and very forcefully. And this time round, when they say that they are going to do the same thing, their words carry some amount of credibility. But I think people are very concerned in how they go about doing it, whether they end up creating monopolies in the process, whether they end up consuming the benefits as in current consumption. Those are the risks that I think a lot of people are pointing towards. Aisha?
Mr. Mohammad Zubair, one of the things that Mr. Hussain pointed out was that haste is never good in privatization. Some economists are saying that your deadlines are not practical. What would you say?
One of the things why haste is important as far as privatization, the current process is concerned. And let me say that when I said that Pakistan is losing and spending 500 billion rupees, which is more than 25% of last year's fiscal revenue, tax revenue, the sooner we get rid of these, the better it would be for the people of Pakistan. If I have taken the decision, then why should I wait for what? Having said that, we are not going to do anything bypassing any regulatory requirement or the process itself, and also ensuring the success of it, because these are important elements. So I am on a fast track basis, but it does not mean that I will do anything which ensures anything in the wrong direction, both in terms of ensuring the success of that and also meeting all the regulatory requirements and to ensure that the whole process is transparent. That is why I said DIA already having taken the decision in January, the board approved. We are talking about December timeframe. That is
so you're promising you're promising full transparency. Mr. Khurram Hussain, you wanted to jump in.
Aisha, it's I agree with Mr. Zubair that there is an urgency to the matter here. These entities are an enormous drain on the country's fiscal resources. There's no doubt about that. But nevertheless, the example of KESC, the Karachi Electric Supply Corporation, is instructive to turn to over here. When KESC was originally privatized back in 2004, it wasn't really privatized. It was jettisoned. And these were the exact words that were being used to describe that process at the time as well, that this is a terrible entity, it's a massive drain on our resources, it's bleeding the government exchequer dry, and we need to dump it as soon as possible. But in doing so, they made a bad situation worse because they handed it over. It ended up passing into the hands of a new ownership and a new sort of an O&M partnership structure that didn't work. And the bleeding did not stop. While at the same time, the service delivery became even worse than it was in state-owned times. So I agree that there is an urgency, but nevertheless, it's a very, very difficult path to walk, and you can get things very, very wrong if you end up pushing the process too fast.
Okay, so Dr. Zubair Iqbal, I want you to jump in here. So the government's in a bind. On one hand, the example that Mr. Hussain has given is also true. KESC, we've also had not such a good track record of privatization in the past, a lot of allegations of corruption. But on the other hand, the government treasury is bleeding. So how do you see this? What steps can the government take to build confidence in the process?
Look, I think the most important thing that we keep overlooking is the fact that you have to do two things simultaneously. You have to adjust, stabilize the economy to a lower level of resource base, number one. And number two, create new resources which could conceivably come through increased efficiency in the economy, which would take place through privatization. Yes, the budget losses will be reduced, not immediately. They will take time. Even if we were to privatize them today, there will be payments that will be taking place for a period of time before they're eliminated. I think what you need to look at it is the government policy mechanism right to address the stabilization problem that we are facing? Look, what we have on our hands, our balance of payments position has worsened. Our fiscal position has worsened. Inflation has gone up. Under these circumstances, what is the government doing? Because that matters whether privatization will succeed or not. That is the most critical thing from my point of view. Privatization will take place willy-nilly. It doesn't really matter. It will take place over time, and that's fine. My concern, my fear is it could be torpedoed by the fact that we have not taken adequate steps to resolve our short-term problems. What have we got? We got no adjustment taking place. Inflation is going up. We got a messy balance of payment situation on hand. The fiscal deficit is increasing. Economy isn't growing. And then on top of it, we want to go towards privatization, which outcome is going to be uncertain and long-term in nature, not short-term in nature. So let's go step by step. Take care of the immediate problem first. Establish a foundation for effective privatization to take place and other structural reforms to take place. It isn't happening. Government needs to know that.
Okay, so let's have Mr. Mohammad Zubair answer both of these concerns.
Yeah,
Mr. Zubair.
Yeah, I'll answer both. When Dr. Zubair was saying the short-term goals are not being met, the inflation is going up, and all of those things, I think I'll like to disagree with his assessment. And let me give you simple numbers. The GDP growth, which was less than 3% on average in the last 5 to 6 years, the first quarter is 5.1%. So I don't know how he can say the inflation went up initially, and there were seasonal reasons as well as some other reasons that
let me quickly interrupt you. Then let me quickly interrupt you. Then you can continue. Some economists are questioning those numbers. They're saying the GDP growth will not be 5%. It will be somewhere between 3 to 4%. But please continue.
Even less.
No,
or even less, as Dr. Zubair Iqbal says. Go ahead, please.
It's the same government department, the statistics division, which when gives the number of inflation going up is accepted. When it gives the number, what it has given now, that inflation is down 7.9%, then those numbers are started to be questioned. It's the same institution which is giving those numbers which are taken. If they are going bad, the same are accepted. When the same institution is giving the numbers which are reflecting a better position, they are being challenged. Tax revenue is up 20% compared to last year. Foreign direct investment is up. Exports are up. Remittances are up. Most of the macroeconomic indicators are up.
Oh, good
the
God.
Karachi Stock Exchange is probably one of the two fastest growing stock exchanges, and that's based on actual earnings. It's not speculative in any way. The actual earnings, if you just see the results of the corporate results that are being announced for the quarter ended December, you will be amazed. This is a reflection of what is happening, the confidence of the people. The latest survey of Overseas Investors Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which is the platform for all foreign companies in Pakistan, I'll request my guests to have a look at that. The business confidence has gone several percentage points, more than 50 percentage points compared to what it was at the time.
Mr. Mohammed Zubair,
let me just add one more statistic. Private credit from the commercial banks is the highest in 8 years. What does that reflect? The private sector is taking credit for investment, but the results of that will obviously come up in a period of time. They are not going to have getting the results just now for the investments that are going to take place now.
So let me go back to Dr. Zubair Iqbal. What Mr. Mohammed Zubair describes looks like a much more rosy picture than you presented.
You see, that's my problem. Come down to earth. Look at the reality. Today, your foreign assets are so low that even the IMF is scared. You have to recognize that there is a problem. Unless you recognize it, you cannot resolve it. Look, the latest estimate of the IMF, based on information that was available at the end of January, is that the country may grow by 2.8%, not even 3%. Number one. Number two, inflation rate is over 11% right now. It was 7.7% only 6 months ago. Do you really wish to tell people that they should not worry? They better worry. There is a very fundamental problem on our hands. We can't just talk our issues away. They're there. And we must recognize them and fight for them. It is essential that the fiscal position be improved. It has improved a bit. Unless your saving investment gap is dramatically reduced, you are not going to see any improvement in your external position. Your exchange rate is going to get worse. You will keep on increasing the interest rate. It's not going to work. Eventually, you're going to get into a situation where if, God forbid, financial assistance from elsewhere, especially from the IMF, stops, you are in a really bad shape. You fix your priorities right.
So, Mr. Mohammed Zubair, the problem is that governments often paint rosy pictures, but as Dr. Zubair Iqbal explains, there are serious problems.
I mean, one of the statistics that he has just mentioned, and I'd like to challenge him, from where has he got that inflation is at 11%? From which institution in Pakistan or anywhere in the world is saying that Pakistan's inflation rate is 11%? The statistics that were released, in fact, it went up. It is coming down in the last 2 months. It's 7.9%. It has just been released. I have personally gone through those numbers. So let's not continue to discuss that. And let me just come back to the fact that, of course, I'm not saying the economy is
what about the IMF statistics that he quoted? What about IMF? What about IMF saying that? What about IMF saying that the growth rate will be 2.8%?
I just attended the IMF review this week in Dubai, and let me share. Of course, IMF has its own point of view, and it's not necessarily the point of view that we share. 2.8%, no one in IMF has predicted that the growth rate is going to be 2.8%. Let me also contradict, the fiscal deficit is not going up. Last year's fiscal deficit was 8.8%, the budget deficit. This year we are going to close around 6.2%, 6.3%. It's a improvement of more than 2.5%, and it's not an easy thing to do in 1 year. All I'm saying is that there are serious economic challenges. The economy has not revived. I'm not claiming that. All I'm saying is, from the situation that it was, one of the most important elements for the economy to revive is for the investment to GDP ratio to come back to some kind of normalcy. It had plummeted to around 12.5%. This is a direct result of the kind of GDP growth that we had. We intend to take it back to 20%, which will mean that the GDP growth rate will come to around 6 to 7%. But for anyone to expect that the investment will start giving the results within 6 months, I think let's not kid ourselves. It will take time, but the investment, like I said, the private sector credit is the highest in 8 years. We are getting the kind of foreign investment.
So you're saying things are improving. Mr. Khurram Hussain, you've heard both Dr. Zubair Iqbal and Mr. Mohammad Zubair. After listening to Mr. Zubair, has your confidence improved in how Pakistan's performing?
No, I can't say it has. Look, I don't want to be unfair here. Okay, it's this government did walk into the middle of a very difficult economic situation. It's important to acknowledge that. This government has put in place some very difficult decisions, and they have brought in some top-class talent from outside as well, and they have a track record in the past as well of implementing, particularly privatization is concerned, very difficult decisions. So without being unfair, it's also important to be alive or alert to potential sleight of hand kind of arguments. For instance, I'll give you one example. Mr. Zubair just told us that the fiscal deficit is going to come down from 8.8% last year to 6.5% this year. He's right. But let's remember that the 8.8% of last year includes 500 billion rupees of a circular debt retirement that happened in the last few days, almost in the last 48 hours of the fiscal year. And that was done in haste at the very last minute, just so that money gets included in last year's fiscal deficit. And this year, of course, they will not be retiring the circular debt at that rate, so they'll come in at 6.5%. Otherwise, that money would have been in this year's fiscal deficit figures, and we would have had the reverse situation. Last year would have been 6.5 or 6.8, and this year we would have had a deficit of 8.8%. So all that, the only thing that was done to actually bring 8.8 to 6.5 was that you took a very large lump sum payment and put it in last year's fiscal deficit numbers, and now you're able to sit here and tell us that the previous government gave it to you, when in fact it didn't. But having said that, it's also important to recognize that yes, the wheels of the economy have begun to turn in the opening quarters of this fiscal year. But much of that turnaround is actually coming from idle capacity that has begun to kick in with the improvement in the energy situation that the 500 billion rupees managed to purchase, and with some increased allocations of natural gas to Punjab Industries. So there is, how sustainable this trend is, we'll wait to see. Of course, GSP Plus and its benefits are now going to kick in, and we'll see how much help that also brings in. But it's also important to understand that at this point in time, we can't talk about improving our investment situation in the economy until there is an improvement in the foreign exchange reserves of Pakistan. Because investment tends to almost always draw down your reserves, because it's through imports that you import machinery and install it. So without a viable way out of the very difficult and tight situation on the external front, I don't think it's feasible to talk of a turnaround in the rate of investment situation.
So, Mr. Mohammad Zubair, foreign exchange reserves are always a huge issue for Pakistan. What is the current government doing to tackle this issue of very, very low reserves at this point?
Yeah, it's very, very low reserves, because when we took over, and if someone had made a cash flow at the time, the outflows that we had to do, for example, the IMF repayments and other debt payments, and whatever inflows were identified, it is exactly where we are. What we are very confident about is that we have seen the burst in terms of foreign exchange reserves. And you've seen in the last 2 to 3 months, because of the stability, the slow stability that has been brought back, and the identification of the inflows that are going to come in, the pressure on the local currency has improved a lot, from around 111 rupees, the peak that it touched. It is now around 105 rupees. And we expect that in the next, we expect, for example, by March end, we will be back over $10 billion. And by September, we intend to improve it further to around $16 billion. So our intention, and we are very clear about the outflows and the inflows. We are going to double our foreign exchange reserves from where Pakistan is sitting today. And regarding the question about 8.8% and 6.3%, let me remind my fellow guests, that the 480 billion, he's right, we paid in the last week of June. But don't forget that we also have to pay the circular debt that will creep up this year. So it's not going to be 480 billion, but it's going to be around 350 billion for sure. So that part will be part of the 6.3% that I'm talking about.
So circular debt, since you brought it up, is another one of those issues. This is not the first time it was paid. The governments often pay them, but without any structural changes, the debt has already started accumulating again. So you'll have to pay more circular debt.
Yeah, the structural changes that we've already undertaken is on many fronts as far as the energy sector is concerned. The first one, the difficult decisions. You know, any new government that comes up, and if the economy is as bad as the economy was, the new government has to take some difficult and tough decisions, which are not politically very much appreciated. But in our case, we took that difficult decision to increase the electricity rates, because we knew that the subsidy that we are passing on to the people is hitting them hard, because the subsidy will then allow the fiscal deficit to balloon, and that will result in government making more and more borrowing.
So you're saying that you've taken the difficult decisions. We have very little time left. Let me come to you, Dr. Zubair Iqbal. The foreign exchange reserve, Mr. Mohammad Zubair is saying will double. Do you agree with them?
No. And let me tell you why not. Because the whole basis on which the foreign exchange reserves are to increase is through borrowing, through the sale of bond and so on and so forth. That's not the way to raise reserves. Look, in order to raise the reserves, you have to work on your saving investment gap. You reduce that gap, and it's only through that you build up your balance of payments position and the foreign exchange reserves increase. You are not doing that. You're basically thinking in terms of mobilizing short-term debt in order to be able to build the reserves. That's something that the market is not going to be fooled by. Don't do that. I urge, don't do that. Follow policies. Don't do any gimmicks in order to be able to give the impression as if the foreign exchange reserves have been built up. Look at the money growth that is taking place in the country. Look at the exchange rate. The exchange rate is not competitive. That's a reality of the fact. Under these circumstances, you can just go ahead and buy foreign exchange in the market. What will it do? It's only a temporary respite. It's not a regular, stable solution to the problem. You have to seek a solution. And they're able to do it. The question is, their governance must improve.
So, Dr. Iqbal, very little time. Tell me in 20 seconds, what is that recipe that you're proposing?
Look, you have to work much better and much more effectively on the budget. Just saying 2.2% improvement has taken place is not enough. You have to make the monetary policy independent of that budgetary policy. Make sure that privatization receipts are not intended to fill the gap in the budget. Number 3, don't go for this gimmick of short-term borrowing from elsewhere in order to give the impression that your reserves have gone up. Work on it. Reduce your savings investment gap. Improve your fiscal position. Then you introduce the structural measures. Take care of your energy problem. And that's the only way to resolve the problem.
Okay, so we are coming to the end of our program. I'm so sorry that our time today is up. We can talk about this issue much more. We will talk about this issue much more. I will request all of my guests to come back on this show and talk about different aspects of the economy. But for today, I want to thank Dr. Zubair Iqbal, who's a scholar at the Middle East Institute, Khurram Hussain, who's a business and economy journalist and the Pakistan scholar at the Wilson Center, and Mr. Mohammad Zubair, who's the chairman of the Privatization Commission in Pakistan. Thank you for watching. I hope you'll join us again for another episode of Access.